it's a meme. It's a meme.
Good evening, YouTube family. So I'm bringing you Love and Hip Hop season 9. It wasn't much, but it was a little bit. So I'm gonna try to make it 15 minutes, okay? So it starts with Queen Key and Amy, and they ready to take over Chicago. Like the last episode, she did say that she was going to invite Queen Amy. Well, did I say Amy? Rennie Rucci. I put Amy. It's Rennie Rucci. And she did invite her because she said that they had a lot in common, which is good. And I'm glad that they were able to, bond. And she said that she is coming to her kids' graduation. And she says that she is, keeping them in school in Chicago so that they could finish, preschool. And they graduated from preschool. So she says she's making a transition. Hopefully, she will be able to get her 3 beautiful daughters in Chicago and her triplets. And they graduated from preschool. They pre-K. They were so cute. I said, whew, more power to you, girl. Them triplets. Whew, that's some work, girl. That's some work. But they so cute. They're so cute. Beautiful girls. And then Queen Keys, Bestie, Aaliyah, and Tracy, which is the woman who she stayed with when her mom kicked her out of the house at a young age. It's just a shame. Just a shame to me. But that's what how the cookie crumbled. So Jock and his family, they head to free at last bail bondsman. And they speak with the bondsman, and he tells Jock that it's gonna pretty much be 33, hundred, $3,300, and this is just for the bond, and it's gonna be a tad bit more at a later date. Tad bit more at a later date. If y'all know how bond and bondsman and getting somebody taken to the bonds house, it's 1% of the bail bondsman, and he gave up 3,300. And Bambi gets with Reno, and he is someone that is, at the cake shop where she is going to be tasting her wedding cakes. And she also invited Yandy. Well, I don't know. Okay, but she invited Yandy. And she tells Yans that she is expecting 50 people at, the wedding, as well as the engagement party. And then she says that Ray has a big family. And Bambi also discusses with Yandy about how it is hard for her to trust Ray, for, reasons on top of reasons. And, she was already having reservations about trusting him and his intentions. And I know she has been extra careful. And then, since Scrappy, and I'm thinking it's worth a try, girl. I mean, it's worth a look back and look ahead, because you never know with some of these guys these days. You never know. And then Jayla is his little brother's baby mom, and this is Jock's little brother, Kwame. And he says, this is what Kwame says now. He says that he feels thankful and he feels blessed as well and grateful. And he says that it's just a blessing for him to be, released and not be in jail any longer. for the moment until the bond hearing. And then we get back to Key. And Key is, of course, at her triplets preschool graduation, and her mother came. And she is grateful. And she says that it has to be more often. And then Rennie says that she has a beautiful family, and she does. When I'm telling y'all, she has a beautiful, beautiful family. And Key says that she wants to speak to her mom, but not at this time. But she says she will soon. And we get to Erica and Rennie. Erica Rensing. Y'all know who she is. And Jasmine and Jessica, and they all go for a meditation, to relax. Because Jessica White, she's all about the meditation and feeling free, just meditation to help her relax. And Jasmine says that she thinks that they have an open relationship, and she's talking about Yandy and Mendices. I said, now girl, don't come here and being messy like that. Now you barely on the show, Jasmine. You barely on the show. And then she is, of course, talking about Yandy and Mendices. And then they started to laugh about the fact that Yandy has an open relationship. And then they was discussing, said, do you really believe that? Do you really believe that? Do you really believe it? Like some little kids. I'm like, y'all, don't do that. Don't say stuff like that. Because that's how the rumors get started. And it goes back to Jock and his son and his brother Kwame. And then they meet to have another conversation. Kwame is getting his hair cut. And Kwame says that he is happy to be out. And says that he wants to be able to grieve privately. And it was hard for him to, stop and think about stuff when he was not in the privacy of his own space or own home. And he says he expects to be able to grieve his children that he lost in private. And then they get back to Key, and she talks to her mom, and she says that she was not protected at all as a child. I said, oh goodness. And then she says that she mentions that she was abused in many ways. She didn't say by who, but she said as a younger child, she was abused in many ways. And her mom says, what can we do to fix it? And I'm like, ma'am, you can't do nothing to fix it. If your grown daughter is telling you, never mind that. Because it's like, the mental capacity and stuff like that, it's okay though. Everybody just don't get it. And then let me tell you what Key said. She said, well, we can start by you being here for your grandkids and being a grandmother. And then her mama said, but that's for you. Well, that's not for you. She said, but it's for, she said, is that just for you? For me to, have a relationship with the grandbabies and just be a part of their family, their relationship with them. And I'm like, girl, are you crazy? Are you crazy? I said, she didn't understand what she was saying. And if she did, she was trying to play her like a fiddle, like for real. She really was. And I'm like, stop, ma'am. Don't do that. Don't do that, please. Because she trying to tell you that she did not feel protected, and you just glanced over that. I said, so she really glanced over the fact that she was saying that she wasn't protected? I didn't hear her say, I'm sorry, or nothing like that. I didn't hear her say, I'm sorry. I said, wow. And then her mom said, what can I do to fix it? I said, okay. So we get off of them. And then Sierra, Yandy, and everyone are expected, except for Rashida, arrive at Bambi's engagement party. And Zane Zane gonna say, we gotta say that Mendices run their relationship in that household. And then that's when Yandy said, nah, that's not exactly how it worked. That's not exactly how it worked. I'm like, okay, Yandy, let's go ahead and go. Push, pish, posh, pish, posh, pish, posh. Let's go over here, Yandy. Go to the right, okay? And then Yandy tells Ashley, don't let them, because she pulled Ashley aside, and then Zane was like, hold on, Yandy, hold on, Yandy. Then Yandy get Ashley in front of her, and she said, don't let them play with you. Don't let them play in your face. Don't let nobody pretty much play with her. I'm like, okay. And Bambi says that Ray is not himself, and he had one too many drinks. And Bambi says that she is concerned about Sierra because, you know, Sierra ain't acting like herself. I said, so it's a lot going on. You think Ray done had too many drinks? And then you think that something, you concerned about Sierra, and she was just saying that she can just look in her face and tell that it's something going on. And she would like for Sierra to tell her what's going on so that they can have a, you know, kumbaya moment or what have you. But she said she won't talk to her. I said, maybe she'll talk to you later, Bambi. Who knows? And then we get back to Bambi, and then Bambi tells Jasmine that Yandy alludes to being in a poly relationship. And Bambi brings Jasmine to talk with Yandy to talk. I said, ooh wee. So what Bambi was really pretty much saying, just gossiping, honey. Because the hearsay was Jasmine, Rashida, and Kirk were all in a polyamorous relationship. And I'm like, well, last time I checked, they saying everybody in Atlanta in polyamorous relationships. So I'm just thinking like, okay. And then Yandy gonna sit there and tell, you know, Jasmine that she heard she was in a poly relationship with the Frost. And Jasmine said, definitely not in a polyamorous relationship. And I'm like, so she done flipped everything around. Because they were saying that Yandy and Mendices was having a polyamorous relationship, mind you. And then Yandy just then flipped it around and said that Jasmine, tells Jasmine that she heard she was in a poly relationship with the Frost. Oh, my. In the last scene, Zale comes late and says, girl, the way he stepped up out that truck. And then Bambi said, no, you late, friend, you late. And Zale says that, she was just running down everybody that was in there, and she was telling him that it's just a lot going on in there, and just a lot going on pretty much. She had to step outside, and when she sees Zale, then Zale says, oh, so Yandy did come, and he was shocked. And Ray's face says, do anybody got a problem with Ray face? It was a lot of commotion. And he just came up saying, do anybody have a problem? Now, you know how they cut and clip the scenes. And it just didn't make sense. This scene just didn't make sense to me. And then the fact that he was saying, do anybody have a problem with him? And then there was a lot of commotion going on. And Bambi said, I don't want him no more. She said she don't want him no more. And I said, the question is, what transpired for you to say that you do not want your fiance no more? I sure want to know. I want to know. But that was the episode, y'all. I told you it's going to be short and sweet. and I got notes that I'm looking at. And when I tell you it's just a half a page of notes, it wasn't nothing going on. It wasn't nothing going on. But I hope y'all enjoyed my short little review, and I'm definitely gonna get it up for y'all. And that was Love and Hip Hop, Season 9. Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, Season 9. It was a lot going on, but it wasn't a lot going on. But have a blessed night, YouTube family. See y'all next time. Bye. I'm gonna get this uploaded for y'all. And make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. Like, comment, and subscribe. Bye.